Welcome to the Nextiva Services Deep Dive with D&M Enterprise Group. My name is Vic Pepe, managing partner at D&M. Been here for 8 years. We've got a lot of D&Mers on the phone here today, all supporting the effort, listening in. We've got the team from Nextiva on the phone, or on the bridge rather. Sorry about that. Before we start, I thought I would do a couple of minutes here on the state of digital engagement for 2025. We stay plugged into Gartner Research, Forrester's, Canalys, and sort of the state and trends. And I thought I'd take just a couple of minutes to dive into that. So I want to set the stage with a brief digital overview here of where we are in key trends, and some of the compelling stats illustrate why this conversation today is really going to be more relevant than you might think, or than ever before. Digital engagement is accelerating. The way customers are engaging with businesses has really fundamentally shifted. Customers today expect instant, seamless, and personalized experiences. And multi-channel, omni-channel is no longer a nice to have, it's expected. That can be voice, chat, SMS, email, social media, it doesn't matter. Customers today expect that you're engaging them on the platform of their choice, and they want to be met where they want to be met. So here are some key insights that we've learned on where digital engagement stands this year and going forward. As I said, omni-channel is the standard. 76% of customers now expect consistent, seamless interactions across all channels. That comes right out of Gartner. If you're not meeting them where they are, you are losing that customer. AI-powered engagement is like a Musk rocket. It launches into space, and it's launching at breakneck speeds. 80% of businesses are expected to deploy some form of AI-driven customer engagement solution by the end of this year, if they're not already there. This comes from Forrester's. Leading the way in that space are chatbots, pulling from real-time analytics. AI here, team, is optimizing every single touch point. So what does it cost you to have poor engagement? According to Forbes, $75 billion is lost annually by U.S. businesses due to poor customer experiences. So what's a customer experience that's not well look like? Slow response times, disconnected interactions, and a lack of personalization, to name a few. Speed matters more than ever before. 82% of consumers report that response time is a key factor in their experience. This comes from a HubSpot survey. A delay of even minutes, let that sink in for a second, can result in lost revenue and diminished trust. That fits nicely into one of the mantras that we started back here, back at D&M. Our SLA is now, I'll hold, started in 2001 from Steve Gerhardt. It rings true even bigger and brighter than ever before. Self-service is on the rise. I cannot tell you how many times I get in a conversation and I'm in a room about self-service and meeting people where they want to be met, and somebody in the room says, our customers are different, our customers are older, our customers want to get somebody on the phone. Well, the data doesn't lie. 67% of customers prefer self-service options versus speaking to a live agent. This comes from a Salesforce study. Customers that fail to optimize this digital self-service platform, they're going to be left behind. They're going to be left in the dust. As far as CX being a brand differentiator, get this, 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a great customer experience. Not everybody wants it on the cheap, because if you get it on the cheap and you don't have the experience you want, they're willing to leave. And let's use potentially a small credit union that has not yet enabled this type of technology against a Wells Fargo or a JP Morgan Chase. I'm sure most of you on the phone do digital banking. You've got apps from your banks on your phone. You can check your balance. You could move payments. You could make payments. You could see when your paycheck hit. If you were with a bank that didn't have that stuff, how long would you stay there? This data, by the way, comes from PricewaterhouseCoopers. And as businesses' ability to provide fast, frictionless, personalized interactions come more into play, this is going to be the standard. Think of how easy it is to buy on Amazon. Still think again how easy it is to buy a pair of shoes or clothing on Zappos, how seamless that entire transaction is. and how you can engage them on a multitude of channels. Amazing that with all the tools and technology at everybody's fingertips, some or most still get this very wrong. That's why Amazon and Zappos and companies like that have great omni-channel, digitally led experiences are leading the way. So what's the path forward look like for all of us here? We have to align technology strategy and culture to meet these demands. And companies like Nextiva are really helping organizations bridge this gap in a way that's, I'm sure you're going to find out here in the next 50 minutes, just spectacular with AI powered omni-channel engagement. So as we dive into this webinar today, please think about your business, think about how your business is approaching digital engagement, and really ask yourself this question: are you just keeping up? Are you limping along? Or are you leading the charge? Because businesses that are leading the charge will be around for a very long time. With that, I want to pass over the microphone and the visuals to the second most handsome person on the call, me not being the first, of course, but Mr. Jamaal Savwoir from Nextiva. Jamaal, will you please introduce the team? And the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Vic, and appreciate all of the insights there. There are so many things going on in the world of communications and the world of experience. There's used to be a time where the focus was on either technology of one-to-one points of contact or one-to-many points of contact around the business decisions around what was most important to prioritize or how you reduce handle times and things like that. But all of it right now relates back to what you can generate from a brand perspective as an experience for your consumers. And that's really where Nextiva shines, is in creating those experiences. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time unpacking some of those stats you started with, because those really paint the picture of where we are today. And then I'll continue on into some of the ways Nextiva is focusing on solving those problems for businesses and driving better consumer behavior, better experiences, whether you're talking about internally within the four walls of the organization, which are now 74,000 walls because of all the different ways people work and interact, but also how that plays into loyalty, brand management, reputation management, and things that allow you to leverage your brand to do things like increase your return on your investment, maintain your cost controls, reduce lost business, and those sorts of things. So definitely a combination of what the technology can do, how it impacts, how it interfaces with emerging things like AI, as you mentioned, but also where it really drives business outcomes. So I'm Jamaal Savwoir. I'm the head of UCXM Partner Engagement here at Nextiva. I also have one of my illustrious solution engineers, John Romeo, on the line with us as well. And I believe Eric Richardson is here as well, one of our AEs in the business as well. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and get started here. I think everybody can see that. So, customer experience, as you think about all the people on the line here, as you think about your business and where you sit today, is the type of experience you generate, is it a strategic growth superpower for your business, or has it become an Achilles heel because of either a business process that's out of line with customer demand or a technology deficiency that is driving some pain points? And we're going to talk a little bit about all those things here today. So just again, shout out to D&M. Appreciate the invite. Appreciate how you approach your customer success. And that's critical to how we do business here at Nextiva as well, is making sure that these technologies generate real business results, making sure that the implementation goes well, and really focusing on the end-to-end from discovery, solution design, uncovering the pain points, to really designing and implementing solutions that meet those needs. And we appreciate the D&M partnership. So I just wanted to mention that out of the gate. Vic, you brought up a lot of critical insights into how communications are on demand. They're immediate. SLA is now, as you said. And I found it very insightful that there were generational differences in how consumers connect with brands. There are still many, many cases where that live phone agent is the most important thing. And sometimes that's situational, but many times it is generational. And you definitely have to have capabilities across these channels if you want to deliver great experiences. Messaging apps, they pop up, they show up and disappear just as fast as, you know, uh, anything can happen. Depending on where they originate, where they're hosted, they could be the popular app of the day and then they're gone. But if you can't build your brand where you can connect with your consumers across those channels, you end up at some disadvantages if your competitors are able to do so more in a more nimble fashion. Um, I know one of the things that is definitely uh, been popular and continues to be in a here to stay mode is that SMS capability. Just the ability to do things like outreach to your customer base or receive communications there. Things like appointment reminders if you're in sort of a service business, whether that's HVAC or whether that's healthcare. Lots of different ways that those are critical to businesses functionality and how they actually communicate and capture business and keep business. So again, unpacking some of those statistics and looking more deeply into, where are the communications coming from, going to, how are they impacting businesses' ability to reach consumers and retain that customer relationship. You mentioned that with these stats, the instantaneous nature of those communications being expected, and a lot of times it is about convenience. Not many people want to have to wait on hold while they're in line multitasking on something else. They'd rather be able to handle that communication asynchronously. And if you look at how people look at to those communications, a year ago, company loyalty for a Gen Z person may have been the driver for whether or not they did business with that brand. And maybe now it's mobile experience. Maybe now it's fun. But all those different modes or reasons why consumers interact with brands change over time. And that's the one thing that's constant. And that's why the platforms that drive these communications have to be flexible. If you as a business leader, whether you're in the technology side of the business or in revenue retention or a new customer acquisition, haven't looked at CX as a critical part of your business, it definitely is. It's much more expensive to acquire customers than it is to retain those customers. And the poor experience leads to that reduction in that lifetime value, increasing churn and things like that. So it definitely can be, again, a technology issue, but it can also be a process issue within the business. And looking deeply into those different areas helps you identify opportunities to make the changes that are going to turn CX from that Achilles heel into that strategic growth opportunity. There's also a way to look at customer experience as a way to increase revenue because of the willingness of your consumers to pay a premium, whether it's a product, a service, whatever it may be, because they get a better experience. Um, the payoffs are really tangible. Could be up to a 16% price premium on dealing with a particular brand because the customer has loyalty, because they get the responsiveness that they're looking for. Look at something as simple as a hotel stay. Many of us in this industry spend a lot of time in hotels. That brand loyalty means something, and many times it means that we're willing to spend more because we know the experience we're going to expect there and experience we're going to receive. Something like car insurance, or even as simple as right now, me being from Florida and doing this webinar from north of Florida right now, uh, winter coats matter to me, right? And just looking at someone being willing to pay more for an item because of that brand experience, that ability to be connected and get what I need when I need it. There's also the opposite of that. Will the customer leave your brand after one bad experience or several? And that happens around the globe, as you can see, whether it's in the U.S., Latin America, all around the world. 1 in 3 customers say they'll walk away from a brand they love just after one bad experience. So again, is that a platform problem? Is it a process problem? How can it be addressed so you don't have that sort of issue when you have a communications system. So leading into getting the must-dos right. We talked about speed, convenience, the SLA being now, and the helpful employees and friendly services matter most. But what are the underlying technologies that allow that experience to be happen by the customer and by the contact center? What information needs to be in the hands of that agent so they can have a helpful, friendly experience? Are they able to understand the intent of the customer on the way in? Are they able to see the history of how that customer interacted? Are they able to interact with that customer in their language of choice? So all of those things matter in terms of speed, convenience, being helpful, being friendly, being able to deliver an acceptable experience or beyond a frictionless experience for that customer interaction. So that really puts the employee experience at the cornerstone of that. It's there's the concept in the contact center of the agents having a lot of fatigue or having a lot of issues with being able to service customers because of lack of information. Maybe the information was routed to them without what they needed to know to service that customer. They didn't know they had been through the website several times to try to address that problem. And having that information at their fingertips makes a big difference. So, in terms of the strategy, customers are definitely in a place where they want more experiences to be digitized, but they want that digitization to be personalized to them. Um, there's a big gap right now between what the consumers say they want and and the experience they get at most of those companies. And it really comes down to be able to do things like what we can do at Nextiva in terms of a live chat translation. So if you look at the screen, it's a little bit small on some screens, but on the left there we have an incoming interaction with someone speaking in English, and they can immediately switch to Spanish. And on the side of the agent there, you can see that it's automatically translating in real time to the language of the agent. So that may seem like a small thing, but for someone who is moving fast, doing what they need to do, it gives the agent that ability to answer, respond, and have the customer see things in their own language. There's also the concept of in the contact center as you're going through your day and keeping track of what's going on in your agent experiences, having the system automatically summarize that through an artificial intelligence capability and take that entire interaction and summarize it automatically so it ends up in the system. And when the next agent is handling that interaction, it didn't matter if the agent was great at taking notes, if they didn't have time to take notes, if they missed a few things. The system itself is able to gather that information, summarize the key points, capture the sentiment, and also put that back into the system so the next agent knows exactly how that was handled. So those are some of the key points there in the contact center space. And I'm going to jump ahead a few slides. Bear with me just a second. And talk about an area where there's a significant differentiation in what Nextiva provides around not only the conversations that are coming at the contact center directly, but also things that are happening as different people that experience that brand have conversations with each other outside of the contact center. How do you really bring that in? How do you start to understand what those conversations are? How do you understand if you can influence those conversations, and how to use that to drive better experiences with your brand? So, with Nextiva's reputation management, businesses can monitor and manage reviews from one place. They can automate, in other words, have smart features to templatize, organize, and route the reviews. You can make it more visible across those channels, and you can also analyze how your reputation is evolving and making informed decisions. So I've heard this described as having visibility from the front window of your business all the way to the back office. You can see the people that are passing by your brand digitally. You can see how they're communicating with it, how they're describing it to other folks, how they're categorizing what they may upvote or downvote based on what somebody else said about your brand, and really be able to take that all in and understand how to make good business decisions. So there's a concept of different review sites and different places where you may have people commenting on their experience. Again, they may not say this directly to you. They may not call your customer service team or your support team because they had an issue. They may just go and post about it. They may make a lot of noise about a particular bad experience or rave about something they really liked. But this could happen, um, for every 5 or 6 conversations you have coming directly to you, there could be 50, 60, 500, 600 conversations going on about your brand out in the world. And it's becomes challenging to monitor this kind of information across all of those different platforms. You have Google reviews, Facebook posts, Yelp reviews, specific industry sites. If you're in the travel industry, it could be things like TripAdvisor. If it's something related to restaurants, it could be Yelp or Open Table or something like that. There are lots of different places where these conversations are happening, and they're not all necessarily directly coming in where they're giving you that opportunity for one of your agents, one of your employees to really take that in and respond to it. So this solution goes out and grabs that information and is able to bring in the things and allow you to set business rules on which things bubble up and get addressed immediately, and which things are then reported on and engaged with at an appropriate time. So it's a significant increase in visibility, but also allows you to do analytics and set certain alerts on things that are of critical importance for the brand, which also influences that chain of communications that comes down to when you actually have consumers interacting with your employees. So again, this solution gives you that 24/7 management of that. It doesn't matter if it's happening, middle of the night, early in the morning, what have you. It's always out there listening, gathering that information, and surfacing the important things to the top of the inbox where they can be addressed. Um, there are so many different platforms that are out there for this type of communication or this type of reviews and things like that, and it gives you capabilities across many of them to pull them into one inbox. If you think through an example of, where that negative feedback may be coming from or going to, you get that 1-star review from a consumer, and unless it gets addressed, you never really know how many people that influence to never even show up at your place of business, to never access your product or service, because they've already made a decision based on that information about whether they're even going to attempt to interact with your brand. So that gives you a really critical point of view and a way to address it by having that bubble up to the top, and in many cases through the Nextiva platform, be able to make a response. That response could be, hey, the manager's very sorry about your experience. Let's see if we can get you back in for a redo. Or it could be, hey, thank you for being a loyal customer. Here's a coupon for the next time you want to come back to the organization. So lots of different ways to look into that, set business rules, and keep it in a singular, unified inbox instead of having to manage multiple uh, email inboxes or website connections or other means of trying to figure out where those reviews are, what's important, what's not, and who should be handling those. It allows you to really focus in on business rules around those sorts of things. It also gives you a little bit better handle on how to engage those customers, and also be able to respond accordingly with the review tagging that lets you categorize those things efficiently. Now, if you're familiar with the different modes and operation points of artificial intelligence, machine learning. I'm going to use a technical term here called unstructured data. This is the epitome of unstructured data because everyone is typing in their own vernacular. They're not necessarily filling out a survey to collect this information. It's not really built for the type of analysis that you would want to do from a business perspective. But that's really where the AI capabilities come in. It can natural language understand if this is a positive review, negative review. If they gave you 5 stars, but they made 3 bad comments in the lower section of the information. And also the ability for these types of things to also grab the demographics of those reviewers because they're connected to the rest of that social media environment. So it creates a lot of insights and a lot of information that comes back into the business just by being able to capture this information, categorize it, and tag it, and give you the ability to do those automated smart responses. Um, There's another component in the application that not only lets you capture the reviews, but also manage your posting capabilities. So if you have a strategy around publishing content, around engaging with your influencers, around increasing the attention level that your brand is getting, even down to a geographical area, those things are really great for expanding the footprint, especially if you're in a multi-location enterprise where you want to be able to continue to promote your brand and get new customers and also maintain that capability of interacting with people as they take more advantage of your products and services or as they try a new product and post about it and things like that. Things like monthly or weekly incentives for people to come and try whatever your new product or service is. So lots of capabilities there around publishing and automating that side of the house as well. In terms of insights, these are where you can get not only the sort of high level data, but drill down into the insights around what's going on with the brand. Has it changed over time? Is there a location, a sentiment at a particular location that's different from your main location? It's really important to also see that sort of information. So there's a slew of features, functionality here around alerts and escalations, at a glance review activity, scheduling and publishing. But I think the automated review assistant really shows the power of what the AI can do in terms of helping businesses manage this online reputation. Also integration with your systems of record, your Salesforce, Dynamics 365, etc. And it really comes down to this. A brand is no longer what we tell the customer it is. It's what the customers tell each other it is, and that's central to not only the employee experience, but also that customer experience and how consumers see what the brand is doing. And it is definitely an influencer marketplace, and it's an attention economy. And being able to manage that as part of your overall customer experience strategy, in addition to things like your business communications, in addition to your omni-channel contact center, is a critical factor for success in this modern marketplace. So with that, we've been successful at Nextiva in outreach to a number of different types of companies that see the benefit of this one platform approach. Um, you know, uh, Jenny's Ice Cream, U-Haul, the San Antonio Spurs, lots of different companies that have taken full advantage of this approach, and we think it's a good fit for your company as well.
Good stuff. Hey, Jamaal, I want to take people back through memory lane for a little bit here because I think it's very important. The world is changing fast. Customer behavior is continuing to accelerate towards, more digital platforms. Voice is still king, obviously, but bad experience on any of the platforms. But the memory lane piece is that if we did this webinar, let's say 4 to 5 years ago, you would have said Nextiva is a hell of a UCaaS platform, right? Is what you would have said. And this is why I love these webinars and why I like being able to bring them to clients and prospects alike. Is that not only is the universe changing so quickly, but the solution sets and the people that are bringing great solutions to the customer base are changing at a very rapid pace. So, like I said, 5 years ago, you might have said, "Hey, Nextiva was a hell of a UCaaS platform," and we had a lot of customers that utilized it. Great install, great price, very reliable. Sort of displaced a lot of the typical unified communications pieces, and especially if you were in retail or some place where maybe some of the typical tools weren't the perfect fit for you. But now what we have is really this massive digital engagement platform across all channels, all tied into a single platform. And Jamaal, I know you're relatively new at Nextiva, but that doesn't mean you don't know them, because I know where you came from in the industry. You had your finger on the pulse of everything that was going on. Can you talk a little bit about where you've been, where it's going? I'm going to open it up to questions after you give us a little bit there.
Yeah.
But can you walk us on the journey a little bit?
Yeah, it's very interesting, the journey that has been on, because you started off with the real strong capabilities across. My background goes back to multi-location enterprise, and then up into the bigger full functional call center, contact center. I remember that switch over from massive call centers, because it was about delivering a volume of phone calls to a large group of agents in a single location. And a lot of the technology wins were, okay, scale. How do I get more phone calls? How do I get more queues? How do I get more reporting? Right? It was all more from a scale perspective. But then at some point, it really tipped over into what you and I know as the omni-channel world, where it wasn't just about voice calls, and it wasn't just about workforce management and scheduling enough people to pick up the phone. It was about engaging with whoever was needed that service or that interaction across those multiple channels. So you had to deal with chat, you had to deal with SMS, you had to deal with email. And then as progress has moved forward, the digital engagement piece has become that much more important because of things like self-service. Most consumers now expect some level of self-service, and I've seen really good self-service, and I've seen really poor self-service. Even at a brand that I love, picked up the phone and couldn't get a human, but they had a really, really poorly developed artificial intelligence service agent for on-prem. It was really bad. So I've seen the shift in technology, but it's really important to make sure you capture requirements, you build for purpose, and you deliver what's needed to make sure that as a brand you can deliver those experiences in a seamless fashion. So it's not just voice; it's definitely across the channels. It's orchestrating journeys. It's understanding a customer going from a digital interaction to a voice interaction back to digital. And it's all those things that are happening, again, outside of the four walls of the business, but happening out there where consumers are talking to consumers about the brand.
Awesome. Back to my 5 year ago conversation, and we're going to make this deck available to everybody who's participated, but also we've got a number of emails from folks that said, "Man, can't really make that time of you guys recording." Even some seeded questions that we're gonna plop in here that they asked. But if you're gonna screenshot one slide to take with you today off of your screen, this is the one to take. Because this Nextiva has really moved from, first of all, really a world-class support organization and technology platform, but has gone from the far left dark purple box, where they've worked through a lot of that stuff 5 years ago, into, if you're not speaking, can you please go on mute? Thank you. And moved into these other boxes, the customer experience and the brand management piece. So again, if you're going to screenshot something and say, "Hey, what did I see today? What did I hear about? What do I want to learn more about?" Maybe we set up a demo on a one-to-one basis. I mean, this is the power of this platform right here. Just really, really remarkable. And the journey and the execution from an Nextiva standpoint has been fun to watch and fun to watch our customers experience and have great success with it. I got a bunch of questions here, like two or three that came in from some people who can't make the meeting, and I promised to ask them so they get incorporated into the video. But before I do that, at the top of the Teams bar, there's a raise hand icon. If you have a question and you want to drive in so we don't, we got Doug Malarkey. There we go. Great. Doug, open your mic up if you would. I see you have a question, and let's hit the team with it.
Sure. Hey, everybody, can you hear me, Vic?
Yes, we can. Thanks, Doug.
Awesome. Does Nextiva's business communications integrate with Microsoft Teams?
Yes, it does. We have a direct routing integration with Microsoft Teams. So that means that consumers can use Microsoft Teams interface as is. And when they click that phone button to make an outside phone call, that goes through Nextiva's service platform. So it's a direct routing integration. It makes it really easy for seamless communications between Teams users at headquarters and maybe somebody that's at a retail branch on a Nextiva phone. So it's a really neat way to continue to have your Nextiva services, but also leverage that Microsoft Teams interface.
Awesome.
Hey, Doug,
thank you.
Thank you for that. And you questions bring other questions. So Jamaal, let's unpack that a second, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
Let's bring people through a couple minutes of a journey as to what that might look like. So you just said, hey, I can be in my Teams interface, but maybe I can highly interact with somebody on a Nextiva phone at a retail location. But what about, the contact center worker? Let's talk about it from their perspective, who are going to be using the customer experience and maybe the monitoring the brand management components that come into their inbox. Can we talk about, give me sort of a verbal flow of how that might integrate, what it might look like from a user perspective?
Yeah. So from the user perspective, those digital channels that Nextiva brings to the table are typically in our Nextiva interface, and that the Teams interface, as it stands today, is really in that voice component. So if you're depending on your role in the organization, as you look at what Nextiva delivers from a unified inbox perspective, that's your digital interactions. That's your things where you got reviews that have popped up. You've got inbound interactions that may come in over one of the SMS or one of the app channels or things like that. And then as you interface with the back office, that voice call, that transfer, that collaboration could happen across teams to make sure that you get that interaction handled in the most efficient way.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Hey, Doug, does that get you what you needed?
I actually, Vic, have one more question. As you guys
Okay.
were talking, it popped into my head. How does Nextiva Contact Center help reduce agents' fatigue? They're doing 100 things. How does this help?
Yeah, so that's a critical factor. The whole reason why you have agents there is to deliver that service, right? And that can be challenging from an agent perspective. It depends on, obviously how their shift is managed or what resources are at their fingertips. But what Nextiva does to sort of make that experience better for that agent is a couple of things. One, we have some technology that'll bring a lot of information to the agent on the front end of that interaction. So they're not having to have the customer repeat their entire query about why they called in, who they are, et cetera. We can leverage some technology on the front end to do validation, so the agent may not have to repeat several validation steps to start interacting with that customer. And then on the back end, as you look at some agents that have a lot of post call work, Nextiva actually has some RPA technology built into the platform. That's a robotic process automation technology that allows the system to build personalized responses to an interaction. So let's say if I'm on a type of agent pool where I have a number of different steps to complete after my call, the system can automatically handle that, but put it in the agent's personalized voice. So I'm sorry, I mean their voice in terms of their written word. So if I'm an agent and I need to gather 5 pieces of information put it together and send that person a personalized summary of that interaction, the system can actually do that for the agent. So the agent has a consistent response to the query. They're back on the phone sooner, and they're not spending time gathering things from 5 different locations to try to build a response to a customer inquiry. So it really helps on the front end, but it also helps on the back end as well to make sure that the agent is able to focus on that customer interaction and get back on to the next interaction more quickly.
Fantastic. Hey, Jamaal, can you do me a favor? Can you unshare what you're working on?
Sure.
Because I like to see your pleasant smile and emotion in the Q&A. You're very charming, Jamaal. I got a question that came in from a customer. His name is Bruce. I won't list his company, but he's been a D&M customer for a long time. He asked me if you can give a few examples of the types of businesses, industry verticals, et cetera, that are really benefiting from the brand management solution that you guys offer. So he could see how it potentially aligns to his business or not.
Yeah. It is a lot of it's a lot of service industry businesses, I would say, but it's also businesses that have developed a sales strategy around social media. I won't mention the company by name, but they have a sales process that's specifically for fundraising. And the way they attract their customers that want to use their business for fundraising is through social media. So it's very important for them to monitor and understand who is interacting with their social media content. It was important for them to be able to react quickly when they got a comment on a social media post, because that's how they did their customer acquisition. So that was a key. It wasn't a traditional thought process, but being unorthodox in their style, they recognize the value of saying, okay, wow, you mean as soon as somebody comments on my social post, I can take that and generate an outbound interaction that's going to help me sell more stuff. That's great. So that was one interesting use case around that reputation management capability. We also have customers that are using the Nextiva reputation management to monitor their competitors. So they want to be on top of, yeah. So
That's cool.
They want to be on top of, hey, what's the guy across the street doing, or what's the hardware store across town doing, or hey, I'm going into a new market. Is there somebody already positioning a weekly special that I need to be prepared to compete with when I enter this market? So it has some really neat capabilities that once you're in the application and you see what some of the insights and dashboards look like, you can think about what it can do for you.
Jamaal, that's a very little brother approach versus big brother approach, right? Yeah, we deploy little brother. He listens just to what's going on in the neighborhood, not to everybody across the world.
Yeah,
hey, that's cool. Hey, John, can you come off mute a second? I'm going to pull you into the conversation here.
Sure.
One of the things that have always stood out as a very strong competitive component of Nextiva's success was ease of use. Platform's always been visually pleasing. You've got amazing UX, always have. I think that's one of the things that has really stood out from a Nextiva perspective. And, we like to tell people at D&M, at our customer base, that D&M's the easy button. We do all the research, we do a lot of heavy lifting, we bring across the great talent, we do that. But you guys make that possible for us where you fit the marketplace. You want to talk a little bit about this ease of use and sort of what's been your perspective on it from your seat?
Yes, I can give you a little bit of history too. I actually met Nextiva probably, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago. I worked for a technical services distributor, actually where I met Jamaal. And what I definitely liked, I had the ability as a sales engineer to pick and choose any vendor I wanted, based on the opportunity. What I really liked about Nextiva is just like you said, right? The ease of use. And back then it was primarily UCaaS, but they've basically taken that methodology and basically incorporated it into their new products, their brand management, their contact center, to definitely blend together. I definitely, like as you mentioned before, we can definitely set up demos and actually show this visually to your clients as well. But like I said, they focus on ease of use, being very, very nimble. I chose them for a lot of opportunities for that. Where a lot of the big guys wouldn't do a certain integration or wouldn't do, support a certain feature, we would actually work with the customer and spend extra hours and extra cycles to make sure that was to be done. So, my reputation was on the line as well. So they did good for me. And, that's one of the reasons I came over here.
You've untapped something else I'd like to unlock a little bit, and that is about the sort of the importance of a role of a sales engineer to a company like Nextiva. What I can tell you is that having 350 companies inside of the D&M ecosystem where we can help our clients find solutions to further their success, the solution lives and dies on not only being a great product, but being able to represent that product in a way that's meaningful to customers. That said, the sales engineer plays a very key role in that entire process. What I can tell you from an overview of looking at the industry, your job is highly in demand, especially if you're good at it. And so I know you say you chose wisely coming in, but I want to just make a statement for the audience here. We come across a lot of sales engineers. They are a commodity, and sales engineering is moving in the direction of the best of breed. And so when you get somebody with a lot of experience and they have a choice, so I can go sales engineer this product and that product, and I can move from one company to the next. It's sort of like sales engineers are kind of like the new rock stars. You try to solicit them to play at your gig, right? You're the best guitar player or the best drummer. So when we work with somebody like John, who happens to be a very experienced, really incredibly competent sales engineer, we know that he's migrated his skill set to a place that he can win. So what I would invite everybody to do, if this is something of your interest, is to reach out to D&M, info@dnmenterprise.net, or through your direct relationship manager, whether that be Christine or Andrea, et cetera. And we will schedule a one-on-one meeting for you, anybody on your team inside of your company, with the team, where we'll open up the belly of the beast a little bit more. We'll show you the tools. We'll show you how it works. We'll dig a little bit deeper into how it rolls out and what kind of ROI you should expect to get on a module by module basis. Or if I deployed reputation management, what could that mean to my company? If I started, engaging with people on SMS and chat, and I don't today, what could that mean for my company? So I would encourage everybody with any interest to reach out. Obviously, at the end of this, by this time tomorrow, this recording, the deck, et cetera, will be available up on the D&M website under past webinars, and in our content area, you'll see the deck, et cetera. Any questions from anybody on this webinar right now? Click raise hand if you have any questions. I don't see anybody coming back in. Well, there's. We learned this morning as we were talking about various things on our own team call, what are the most valuable lessons you learned in life? And I think somebody said that, you can't get time back. You can only focus on the future. But I can give you time back today. And so with that, we're going to wrap our call 10 minutes before the hour. It's my pleasure to give you the gift of time back. Take this 10 minutes, use it wisely. From all of us at D&M and Nextiva, we appreciate you getting on the call today. Thank you so much for taking an hour today and spending it with us. We know you're busy, you got a lot of choices, so we appreciate it. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.